Why did the dominatrix go to the chiropractor?
Why?
She had a little kink in her neck. But
testing. Which is the headphone volume for me?
Number 2.
Testing. A little higher, please.
How's that?
Shamalama-ding-dong. Okay, good.
So I have this friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she had a pain in her...
I thought you were talking about me. I was like, is it me? Am I the friend? No, it's a girl.
She had a pain in her, like, in her butt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she goes to the doctor and she's like, Doc, I got a pain in my butt. And he's like, where exactly on your butt? And she's like, the entrance. And he goes, if you keep calling it the entrance, it's going to keep hurting. Should we just do a whole show of these?
I have got a long list of Confucius say jokes that is offending and horrifying my family for weeks.
Somebody told me that Confucius say was racist.
I said that.
Yeah, no, it was...
Because I'm always worried that they are racist.
I think it was Ben. So I don't want to, I don't want to offend our Chinese audience.
No,
here.
I mean, he's not wrong. It's just
we're going to do it anyway, right?
I just
because we're not fucking
who exactly
PC woke
who
here.
Who are we offending here? People who believe in Confucius? Is that it?
I think the conversation I had with Ben was like, or maybe it was Jack. I don't know. He was like, if you were to say like Confucius says.
Oh, is it making fun of the...
I don't know.
All right. Well, I'll never do it again.
That's it? You're not going to do one?
Of course I'm going to do one. Didn't I send you... We've been sending back these horrible jokes.
Yes.
Back and forth for weeks. And sometimes I don't even get a response, which is when I know that,
take it personally. I was on a 3-hour time change from you last week. And
okay, it's jokes like this. Confucius say, virginity like bubble. One prick... all gone. Confucius say, bird in the hand is not better than 2 in the bush. I think it's a sex joke.
I don't get it.
I don't either. Some of these are just really dirty for no reason. Oh, here's a good one. Confucius say, man who run before bus get tired.
That's good.
There were some funny ones. I was just cracking up. My wife's like, what are you laughing at? I'm like, you don't want to know. So that's where we're at today, folks.
Yep. That's all you're going to get.
All you're going to get.
You're going to get a whole bunch of that kind of thing.
Which reminds me. And we're back. Welcome to Recovery in the Middle Ages, the podcast about 2 middle-aged suburban dads in their pursuit of life, love, and recovery. I'm not X.
I'm Mike today.
And boy, do we have a show for you today on RMA. The boys are back in town, catching up like never before on adventures. In where were we? Different places. Yeah. And I may talk about a seizure I may have had in Sobriety, which is all the talk today on Recovery Radio.
Is it more fun to have a seizure in Sobriety or when you're using drugs?
You're equally confused when you come to.
Yes. Well, listen, when you know better,
you do better.
All right.
All this and more today on a very special edition of RMA. And good morning to you. We're back at Castle Grayskull Studios.
Yep.
I'm happy to be back. I love the feel here. I love the energy in here. It's just
what energy? It's a fucking laundry room.
There's like lizards, guitars, there's laundry.
Speaking of guitars, you see what's up on the screen over there?
Are you giving yourself lessons?
That is the 2008 or 10 version of Guitar Hero.
Oh my gosh!
Which Benjamin just decided that he really wanted to start playing Guitar Hero for reasons that I have no idea why.
I've been talking about this to Noah for like months.
So we had to go. We went to the mall. We went to the classic video game store.
VGT something.
They did not have the guitars. I went to GameStop. They did not have
the
guitars.
Dude, they have piles of those guitars
only
in a
for
rack.
the PS1 or the PS2. He needs it for the PS3 or the Wii. So they were, and I called their Levittown office and they're like, yeah, we got one. It's reconditioned. It's missing the battery cover. It's $100. So I go on Amazon and I'm like, oh, $38.99. Delivery by tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. Okay.
And this
like,
is why
do these places like
they should
price themselves out of business? Like, I don't get it. I really don't get it.
That is the world we live in. It's unfortunate, but it is true.
I want to support the small store.
That's what
I just couldn't.
That's what people in town used to say about my store.
Yeah, but your prices were not out of whack. And you would match. They would never match, though.
But people just assume that you're a ripoff because you're a store, and then they don't even try.
I don't know. When you know better, you do better. But sometimes doing better depends on what tools are available to you. Mm-hmm. What tools are available to you?
My Confucius Say joke list. Yeah. That's my tool.
As two tools in recovery from alcohol use disorder, we know how difficult it can be to seek help for a disease that's so stigmatized. If you're struggling to get sober, SoberLink can help. SoberLink's remote alcohol monitoring system was specifically designed to help in your recovery. It's not just some breathalyzer you buy at the store.
Right.
Small enough to fit in your pocket, but big enough to impress your girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
pH balance for an alcoholic.
Discreet enough to use in public or in front of your kids. Those jokes should not be in the same sentence. SoberLink devices combine facial recognition, tamper detection, and real-time results so friends and family know instantly that you're sober and working towards your recovery goals. Mike reads the following. This system would have been a game changer for Nat and I during early recovery when every bit of accountability helps.
Helps. Yeah, I really can't think of a better tool for tracking and sharing progress and rebuilding trust in relationships. Thank you, SoberLink.
Make 2023 a memorable one. In other words, you'll remember it if you're not shit-faced all the time. Visit www.soberlink.com/middle-ages to sign up and receive $50 off your device.
And Mike will middle-your ages. Okay, now we have to do the post-ad thing where I tell you, listen, we're not kidding. This is actually, we really believe in this SoberLink. I think it's really cool. It can really, really help.
Yes, absolutely.
Loves it.
Yep. I was thinking of getting one for my teens.
Yeah.
Since both of them are now driving.
Yeah, we stick on the ad, but it's really, I think this could be a really helpful thing. And thank God they didn't have it when I was on probation, because this would really have
Didn't you have an interlock device on your car anyway?
It was on my car, but somehow the idea of having one with me.
Yeah.
Because when you're not by your car, you can sort of like not drive, you know. But when that thing goes off, it goes off. And sometimes they court mandate stuff like that. And I used to have friends that would be carrying it around, you know. And I was like, oh, man, if I couldn't escape my car, I don't know what I would do.
You know, it's weird. I was thinking the other day how we're in a really weird, unique moment in history where we have children who are complete digital natives being parented by people who are not digital natives. This is never going to happen again, right? Like, the next generation, it's going to be like people who grew up with the internet, right? So I'm thinking to myself, I would love to get a SoberLink device so I could make my kids, if they go out at night, blow into it and send me the result before they get in the car to drive home. But I'm thinking that might be really weird and intrusive and a violation of privacy.
Yep.
But these kids have been raised without any expectation of privacy because everything is online and everything they do is out in public. So would it be looked at as though as a preemptive act of mistrust on the part of me to my kid, or would it just be looked at like another way of like tracking your kid, like Find My iPhone?
Well, that is a great point, and I would retort with, just because they're used to it, does it make it right? Or are you just saying you could get away with it, so it's okay? It's still
there is some moral ambiguity in my position. I would agree,
but I do agree.
I mean, you have trust but verify.
Yes,
is kind of where I'm at with my kids, right?
GWB used to say. Oh. Isn't that a George W. Bush era? Like
GWB.
Trust but verify.
GWB, that reminds me of Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon.
Oy vey.
Both of whom got fired on the same day.
What?
Yes.
This is how disconnected I've been from the news.
Yes.
Tell me more.
Well, I don't know exactly what happened, but Tucker Carlson was...
I can't believe they fired Tucker Carlson. He was like $1 billion advertiser for Fox. I know. I didn't watch him, okay, but...
I guess so, but I mean, now that both of them are gone, I'd like to know where I'm going to go for my hyper-partisan takes on corporate media news narratives. Where am I going to find this information now?
I have some ideas. Michael Savage's show, The Savage Nation, he is like right of right. He hates Republicans and Democrats.
You know, if you go far enough right, you eventually meet the left.
Yes.
And they shake hands.
The libertarians.
Behind the school. But that's enough of politics. That was a weird little thing that popped up yesterday.
Confucius say, man who smoke pot, choke on handle.
You told that one 2 weeks ago.
Damn it. Damn, I'm so
you
sorry.
You don't get a drum beat.
We're going
to... that one. You get the toilet for that one.
Confucius say, man with big mouth, beware of foot. Putting your foot. So where have you been? What have we been doing?
What the fuck have we been doing?
What have we been doing? Because you went away. We took a dark week. Nobody thought our presidential funny little drop was funny.
Well, that was a while ago, though, wasn't it?
I know, but I'm still mad about it.
Break.
I thought it was so great.
So you know what we missed? I'll tell you where I was in a minute, but I want to finish going over like things that we've missed in the news, including
smoke weed every day.
It was 420 a couple of days ago.
Oh, right. We didn't celebrate.
Did you? I don't know if you watched the news, but 420 has apparently become a really big fucking holiday in this country.
Oh, seriously.
Have you noticed this? I saw shots of people in Denver, and there was just this. It was like thousands of people and a huge cloud of pot smoke above their head.
I did not see that.
You did not? Same thing in New York. It's like It's like these really crazy pagan weed celebrations now.
Well, has Hallmark kind of capitalized on this with cards? Is that when that happens, then we've got a holiday.
Cards with you could turn into rolling pins.
Yes, that's brilliant. Hemp cards.
Do people even smoke weed anymore? Or do they vape it and shoot it and dab it? And
I don't know.
Who knows what they do with it?
I have a feeling that I have absolutely no idea.
They eat it.
You can
people
eat it. I don't know what dabbing is either. It involves concentrating it.
Yeah, that seems really like druggy to me.
Yeah, at that point you are, it's like liquor or beer.
I got an ad. I was just looking at this morning. I got an ad from, remember the Delta 8 company that you've slipped me that Mickey all those episodes ago? Episode 12 for those of you that want to go back and listen to that.
Surprised you remember.
Oh, I recommend that episode to everybody. So this was the 3 Chi people.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm still on their junk email list.
Delta 9 shots.
Yes.
Interesting.
This is the new thing. You can now drink your weed in a shot.
Wow.
And it's Delta. It's not Delta 8.
Delta 9 is a code word for actual THC.
Is it really?
Yep.
Oh, right. Delta 9. Sure. So I can just order this from the internet and they'll send it to New York?
Oh, say shop now. Yeah, get me like 3.
You get like a discount.
Order that one. Yeah, I want the big one.
You want the tincture?
Just get it.
Or the gummies. Oh, no. No more. No.
Ooh.
No more gummy. No more Delta 9 gummies. So I bring up 420 because I had an interesting experience this past weekend.
What's that?
A friend of mine from college who I spoke to when he was getting sober about 1.5 years ago. I think I might have mentioned that on the show. Anyway, he sort of reached out to another friend of ours from college who also has decided that he has had enough of the drinking and is going to, stop.
He wants to try and stop. He's sober curious, you might say.
Well, except he's been sober now for a couple of weeks.
Wow.
So I had a really long conversation with him on Sunday, and I'm not going to say his name or his initials or anything because I don't have permission to do so. But he was also mentioning how weed was helpful in recovery from not drinking.
Sure.
And then I relayed my experience where I sort of gave myself permission to smoke or take an edible or something early on when I was quitting drinking because I would rather, if I had to fall down somewhere, I would rather be with weed than with alcohol. And it seems to me that is a really popular way that people have been quitting drinking by allowing themselves a little bit of cannabis. I was on the one of the Sobriety Redditors and Recovery subreddit the other day, and there was a lively discussion going on about that. And
Yeah.
I know we've talked about this before, but it seems like that even since then, weed has become so ubiquitous. Like it's legal now almost everywhere.
Right.
And there's a lot of people using it.
It's true. And this is seeping over into my kids' life, our kids' lives. And
Your kids are smoking weed? They're a little young.
Noah is not smoking weed, but we are having more discussions about it.
Oh, okay.
And it puts me in a really tough spot because, I really, really, really want him to never drink alcohol. I know that's absurd, and he probably will, but I'm giving him all the facts. But now it's so accepted, cannabis, that he's got a very, he's not afraid of it, let's just say.
Right.
There is no fear. And when we talk about it, I can't lie to him and put it on par with fentanyl.
Of course not.
It's absurd.
Only the government does that.
But, so I tried to be as honest and straightforward with him as possible about it. I said, Noah, you really, really don't want to smoke, pot at the age of 12. Like, this will fuck your mind up.
Yeah.
And I'm just very clear with him. I was like, listen, 16, 17, maybe we have another conversation. Because I don't want him to think I'm going to, he's going to have to do it behind my back.
Right.
So I'm like, let's just, hang out. But it is going around from what I hear.
I know that there's
a couple
all
of
kinds
kids.
Really?
Yeah.
And of their age?
Yeah. It's exactly who you think.
Of course.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
And I was really amazed that Noah trusted that information with me. That he was kind of alerting me. He's like, hey, Dad, I just want you to know that bibbity bobbity boop. And I was like, whoa. And I was kind of like, well, what do you think about all of that? And he's like, oh, I could never. He said what you tell your father.
Right.
And then I just tried to be like, just stand back and watch how their lives go. I said, if you can wait, and I want you to wait, I don't want you to do it, but listen, step back and see what happens. Those kids are not going good places. And so he was like, oh, no, I know. And, he was even saying, he's like, he has a growth hormone deficiency. So he was like, well, my body is really like a 10-year-old. And so he was really like, he came out with that himself. He's like, yeah, can you imagine what it would do to a 10-year-old?
Yeah.
I said, yeah, keep thinking like that because you don't want to do that. So these conversations are starting.
Wow. I wonder if I should be concerned that Ben did not mention that to me. I mean, I don't know how out there this knowledge of this kid doing this is in the grade, but I assume it's out there like wildfire because they're gossipy little seventh graders, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. It's a weird thing. Probably he shouldn't have told me that because, but I'm glad, I predicted something like that. But the problem with being in that high school is it's usually there's an 8th grader who talks to a 9th grader who talks to a 10th grader.
It's the pipeline.
Right. And I don't know. So that's going around. And that scared the shit out of me on one hand, but also gave me a lot of hope that Noah was able to kind of be like, hey, look out for this.
Well, now you've given me something to speak to Ben about when he gets home from school today.
Yeah, try and be like a little detective-y,
Yeah.
Unless you're just going to be like, Noah's dad said.
Well, I might just do that because it cuts through. It gets the conversation out on the table.
Yeah. I think it's a good time to talk about that.
Yeah, wow. I was kind of thinking I had a couple of years on that because, I got my 16-year-old who's like hanging out with his friend who comes over here and they go disappear into the park for a while. And,
right.
And, he's a very good student and he does everything on paper, like the way he's supposed to be doing. But he's got a little sneaky side, and it wouldn't surprise me if they were out there doing, something. But, every time because he's like a huge fan of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
So is Noah.
And I'm like, so that like sends up alarm bells because, this glorification of like the cartels and all this stuff. And my son, who's very science minded, I assume he puts himself in the position of Jesse and Walter and that he could cook and make millions of dollars. Right. I mean, it's like just this fantasy shit that lives in kids' heads when they see something on TV. But I never miss an opportunity to tell him like, just watch what happened to those characters at the end of the show. They're dead or they're on the run or they left a trail of destruction behind them. And, I tell him like, I don't want you to drink or smoke pot. I'm like, but of the two,
right. That's what
I really don't want you to drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I take the same route because it's like something is going down. It's just like how soft is it going to be, and how much damage will it do?
I mean, these are teenagers. Do you remember what that was like? I know what I was doing when I was 16. You know, I was just getting started though. You know,
too.
Really getting into it.
You know, acid. So we just got off track, and we had a big trip. Didn't you take a big trip? And
I
have
did.
An amazing
I'll talk
time?
about my trip, and then I really want to hear about your trip.
Yeah,
because your trip ended in a fall, so to speak.
Yes, it did.
But so I went out to California again last week for another conference. This one I had to get up and present at.
Really?
Yes. So that was giving me all kind of spilkas because I really haven't had to do that very much since before the pandemic. And the first time I did it was literally I was 30 days sober, and I had to get up in front of 500 people without a podium and just stand there and talk.
Wow.
And I survived that without breaking my sobriety, which gave me an incredible sense of power. But I didn't really have to do anything in that large of a group since then, until last week. So it was fine. Everything went fine. I was very stressed out about it, though. I went so far as to record what I was going to say as if I was saying it in the room, and then listen to it on headphones when I went running for the 5 days before the conference. So
not a bad idea.
I was hyper prepared, but yeah, I was like, and then over to you, so and so, like, and
back to you, Shep.
So I got through that, and then we had and the first night there was a reception, right?
Yeah,
and
these are the danger zones, right?
Reception, not such a big deal because it was my reception. I put it on, so I walked around, I shook everybody's hand, I sat at the tables, I drank my club soda. Now you'd think that I would have made arrangements to have something more than Coke, Diet Coke, or seltzer water for the non-drinkers, but I somehow spaced on that shit.
You mean it was your fault?
Yeah, there was plenty of wine and beer, but somehow I kind of choked on the non-alcoholic stuff.
So now you'll be sympathetic when you go somewhere and they forgot about us.
No, I'll be annoyed. I mean, it was Pellegrino, so it was fine. Okay, so then I presented the next day, and then there was a dinner. And the dinner is where things got kind of interesting because I was sitting there, and there was a woman who is a chief legal counsel for a Canadian utility company, and she was talking about how her and her husband a few years ago gave up sugar, and because they gave up sugar and changed their diet and they don't eat carbs, they also gave up alcohol. And I was kind of like looking at her like, huh. And I used that. I was like, there's my opening. So I go in and I'm like, I quit drinking about 4 years ago, and it was the best thing I ever did. Best for my mental health, best thing for my physical health. I feel better than I have in years. And I'm sitting at a table with a bunch of people that are pounding them pretty good, except for me and this woman, right? And the guy at the end of the table. But so the guy across from me, who's this British guy who moved from Britain to Canada, and he's putting back the lagers. He's like, I only drink on Fridays and Saturdays. And I'm thinking, well, it's a Tuesday and you're on your fourth pint. So, okay, whatever, man. And it's funny, you get so the reactions are very predictable when you drop a bomb like that into a group of people. They're the people that probably have drinking problems that immediately rush to reassure you that they don't drink that much.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah. It's like, don't apologize to me.
And then there's the folks that just try and change the subject, or...
You can see they get visibly uncomfortable.
Yeah, or they want to, ask you more. And I just kind of opened up. I never use the word recovery in those situations because I feel like that turns people off. I just talk about the health benefits of not drinking.
Yeah.
And really... Why did I quit drinking? It was for the health benefits, mental, physical, everything, right?
Right.
So it's all for the health benefits.
It's not religious necessarily, or people think you're like morally judging them or something. And I always, if I feel like I'm in that situation, I'm like, oh, I don't have any moral opposition to it.
Well, see, I don't feel the need to go that far because when do the drinkers feel like they need to like be careful about my feelings about it, right? I mean, exactly. Fuck you. I'm not going to make you feel better about it. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, you're a fucking alcoholic. But I'm also not going to be like, oh, it's enjoy yourself.
My people pleaser.
I don't know. I just I've done kind of a 180 on that, but I'm in a work situation, so I'm not going to be a dick.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, it's Tuesday, asshole, and you've on your fourth beer.
The customer's always drunk.
Yeah. But then, so I ended up kind of leaving kind of early towards the end of the dinner because it looked like it was going to carry on into festivities that I didn't want to be a part of. So I ended up giving that older woman a ride home, and I think she and I were kind of on the same page when it came with. I think her reason for her and her husband quitting sugar, i.e., alcohol, was probably more along the lines of why I quit than along the lines of just wanting to have less sugar in their diet, right? But we didn't really have that outward conversation. But you know how when you're just, you're kind of riding with somebody, you're on the same wavelength about something. That's kind of how that went. So I've discovered people like that off and on in my business, who are sort of like closet sober people.
Yeah, it reminds me of the story in the Bible. Sorry, guys. But it's perfect because do you know that Jesus fish thing? Where it's like
the Jesus fish, right?
So what we were told when I was in school was that was two Christians, because it was like illegal or something, or it wasn't okay. They would, with their foot, draw with their toe. One would do a
Is that sort of like reaching under the bathroom stall?
It's exactly, and the other would do the word. So it's like a secret society. Sort of like in AA, they say, "Oh, are you a friend of Bill's?" Or they might say, "I'm a friend of Bill."
Right.
But it's ridiculous that we have to hide, or feel any kind of, what I mean.
I've decided to not take on the shame and the any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think how you speak about it makes all the difference. If you sit there from a position of like, I'm in recovery, blah, 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 then people are going to look at your experience in one way. If you present your quitting as an affirmative thing that you're taking control of your life and your health, then I think it sets a different tone for the discussion.
Well, that's the whole thing with powerlessness.
Yes, that's why I don't like that part.
It's interesting. Yeah, that's, some people really thrive and recover, speaking in terms of disease and that they were powerless. And they really use that idea that they were powerless to sort of like explain how they, put faith in God or something, or the program to put it, above them. But man,
I don't know, man.
Interesting.
To me, it seems like one of them is kind of more like looking backwards, and the other is looking forwards. And headlights are brighter than taillights on a car for a reason, right? Because you want to be able to see what's up ahead of you, and what's behind you is not as important.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I go back and forth about it because I'm the same way. I don't want to, overdo thinking about my past or rehashing it, but I know that I made a lot of progress in my recovery by analyzing what happened, so I wouldn't do it again, type of thing.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just like
definitely a space.
I think it's just how much emphasis do you put on it. I think for me, it just is shifted as I recovered. I thought less and less about the schmuck that I was, and focused more and more on how to keep my life going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And so you have to shift your focus. Like today, we're going to talk more about physical health and how even when you're not trying to just stay away from alcohol and drugs, there's other things that could take you out. There are other things in life that are just as deadly.
There are indeed.
And I think it's a really important thing because for me, once I quit the deadly everything, I had a little invincibility feeling,
Yeah.
Like I got to beat that, sugar's not going to take me out, and it's important. The battle isn't over, You got to keep trying to do the best thing for yourself because it's one body that you got.
Well, we've always said that, putting down the drink or the drug is just the first step on the road to recovery, right? And then you got to do the internal work. But the thing is, you also have to do the external work.
Yeah.
You can't ignore the body. The body and the mind are linked tightly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I was hoping someone else could take over for the body
just
part.
Sort of drive you around like a robot.
Yeah. Be like Stephen Hawking, just thinking all the time.
Well, that brings us to how was your trip to Washington, Mr. Smith?
So my family and I took a trip to the seat of power in Washington,
Trump
DC. Trump Tower. It's funny because it's my son Max's 9th birthday tomorrow.
Hey, happy birthday to Max.
So we wanted to take him on a little trip of his choice. And so he wanted to see the Capitol building. This is an 8-year-old who told me, I want to go see the Lincoln Memorial. He wants to go see the Capitol building.
He didn't want to take a shit on Pelosi's desk, did he?
No. Funnily enough, I did meet Congressman Joe Wilson.
You did?
Who I didn't know who that was
Who
until
is that?
He's the South Carolina.
He's a good guy or a bad guy?
He's a Republican, but
Bad guy.
who's been Republican so long he's reasonable.
Okay.
Type of thing.
So
you
he's
know?
like a Mitt Romney?
Yeah, more like a Mitt Romney, and he's been in office 25 years, so he doesn't go along with the craziness. He knows he'll always be reelected because he's been
How did
there
you
forever.
meet him?
I'm not exactly sure.
Did you have an audience, like with the Pope? Or
Sort of. So we got a favor to tour the Capitol building because it was sold out. So a friend of my wife's husband works for I think it's the Turkish consulate or something like that.
Okay.
And so it was a long shot. We said, can he help us get into the Capitol? So he must have known Joe Wilson because we didn't know where we were going. We were told to go to this office inside the Capitol. It was pretty cool. I'm walking through the hallways. You see all of the their names are on their offices.
Right.
And then we go into this one office and we're looking for Gertrude, or I forget what her name was. And then this guy, an older man, Joe Wilson, comes out. He goes, "Hi, I'm Joe Wilson." I said, "Oh," and I didn't know who he was. He handed us bags of peanuts from South Carolina.
Boiled peanuts?
I think. I don't
Yeah.
know. It was their number one export or
Yeah.
something. And he's like, "Oh, how did we come together? Like, how do I know you, or who sent you?"
We were like, I don't know who the fuck you are either.
I said, "Listen, thank you so much for having us.
Thanks
I'm
for
not
your nuts.
really sure." And so that was interesting. Anyway, so I'll get to the point. We had this trip.
No, I'm enjoying this.
I know. I've been avoiding this. I wasn't sure I wanted to talk about this. Let me just say that. It was really scary. Not Joe Wilson, but
Did you drop by George Santos's office, our congressman?
I should have. I'm like, Santos,
Come in.
it's one of your constituents.
He'd be hiding under the desk.
I know. But so we had this great trip. I'll just skip to the bad part. I got to see my cousin, and we met a few cousins that I haven't seen in a while. That was not the bad part. That was a lot of fun.
Right.
So there was a lot of walking, and it was hot.
It was really hot. It was
Yeah.
like those 90-degree days that we had, right?
It was pretty hot. And we were walking all over the city, which is a gorgeous city. It's like, it looks clean.
You took
It's
some
amazing.
wonderful pictures, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, the
Oh.
Washington Monument, the picture of you standing in front of the American flag with the Washington Monument. You should put fucking...
You like that?
Yeah, you should hang that
You're
on your
a
wall.
photographer.
You should make a T-shirt out of that.
I was just like selfie with the monument. And we were having a great time.
Are you getting like a phase thing in both your ears, or is that just me?
That's just you.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So we were walking around that whole day. We went to the Spy Museum, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Such a good time. I can't recommend it enough. We couldn't get, and the Monksters who recommended I go to the Air and Space. I tried, and it was sold out. You couldn't get it.
Yeah.
So we had a great day. We did, 18,000 steps is what I finally looked at it because I was trying to figure out what happened to me, And we went to this really nice Mexican restaurant, and I was just reminded by Noah something very important that happened that I completely forgot. I had a strawberry virgin daiquiri throughout dinner.
Very sweet.
Yeah, and I had forgotten that, and I drank half of his lemonade daiquiri.
Oh.
Okay, so now this is going to make sense in a minute. So we're walking out. I've got, we're marching down the street, all happy, and I begin to feel a little weird. I started to feel a little dizzy. It felt like one of my hypoglycemic. Sometimes I'll have like a hypoglycemic little episode where I'll sweat a little bit. I have to lie down, and then I have to like eat sugar, and then I guess it balances out or something. So it started to feel like one of those. And I'm walking, and then all of a sudden, I must have fainted or I passed out.
Jesus.
And apparently, I was seizing, like a seizure. It looked like
Like, what did that look like?
like shaking, on the ground, like
Eyes
mouth
roll
open.
back in your head. Yeah.
I think the whole thing, mouth open, because my jaw hurt afterwards.
Jesus.
Bit of foam.
And you fell into the street?
From what I was told, I began to stumble into the street.
Oh, shit.
And my wife, like, noticed something was off and began to guide me back. And I guess I came down to my knees or something. And then I just woke up. You know, it was 60 seconds, apparently. And it was the craziest thing because it was just like when I OD'd. All of a sudden, it was that same feeling of confusion. And, like, all of a sudden, I'm looking around and there's just people around me. There's an EMS. And I was just like, what the hell is going on? Like, I didn't really feel bad necessarily, but it was really crazy. And so an ambulance came. I think the first thing they did was they want to know if this is an OD or there's drugs involved, right?
Did you take any drugs?
Yeah, but
and you were like, when?
And Noah said that he spoke up immediately and like said, no, it's not alcohol. My dad doesn't drink.
Right.
Yeah, he says, and there's not going to be drugs. He goes, I know that probably most 12-year-olds wouldn't know that, but I do. It's not drugs.
Wow.
Isn't that great?
That's awesome. Yeah.
And thank God when I got my blood test and stuff, there was no drugs because I'd have some explaining to do. And that was really cool, but it was horrifying, scary, confusing because even though I've had these hypoglycemic little episodes, it's never resulted in a seizure-like activity or being unconscious like that.
So what are these hypoglycemic episodes?
So it's sort of like the way the doctors explained it to me. Now, we rode in the ambulance with my wife, 2 children.
Right.
We went to the ambulance. Thank God my cousin Jessie lives in town. She took the kids.
Okay.
And stayed with me in the hospital for about 5 hours.
Oh, shit.
We're talking emergency room.
Was this like a Washington, D.C. public hospital?
Pretty much,
That must have been fun.
Yeah, GW something.
Okay. George Washington would be a good guess for the area.
Yeah, public. And it was horrifying. You know, the whole thing was so confusing. And I had this PTSD reaction to when I used to be, you know, there was more than once where I would crack up a car or I'd end up in the hospital, you know, all of that stuff. And it really just took me back to those, like, I can't believe I'm still sitting here in an emergency room looking at my wife, looking scared, lying in, you know, and not knowing what's going to happen.
Let me ask you this. How long was it before the blood work came back? And during that period, was there any, like, questioning on the part of your wife? Like, what was really going on here?
I should ask her that, but I don't think there was because she knows that it's highly, highly unlikely that would be the case.
Yeah.
And she also knows I've had these hypoglycemic things before.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And she knows how I've been acting. She can tell when I'm like, she knows. She knows the high face. She knows the drunk face. So they did a seizure because they don't know what it is. It says seizure. You know, it's written down as a seizure.
Right.
But and so that's all they tell you. So they have to do. I got a CT scan. I got blood work, and they did an EEG.
Nice.
And everything was clear.
That's great.
Completely clear. It's great, but it also
just
doesn't.
like, why did I just pass out in the street in Washington, D.C.?
It doesn't explain anything. And the other disturbing thing was when they did think it was a real seizure, every doctor would say to me, everyone gets one. Because I was like, why would this happen? I don't understand. How could I just be having a seizure?
What do you mean everybody gets one?
That's
like
what they
at some
said.
point in your life, you're just going to seize up and for no reason?
According to just about every medical professional I ran into, I don't know if they're just trying to make me feel better.
A glitch in the matrix, man.
But,
everybody's having a fucking seizure at some point. Huh.
Yeah. So everybody gets one. And after that, I was fine. You know, I was shaken up. Of course, my kids were shaken up. I had to talk to them a lot about it. You know, luckily they saw that everything was okay. And, you know, I woke up immediately. But that's a scary thing to see.
Yeah.
Father. And I'm worried it's an adverse childhood experience. And that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, is this going to... but as soon as we got home, I got to see this new doctor for a follow-up. And he's a really great doctor. And he's the one that sort of was able to explain to me what it was. Because when I explained the incident to him, he said, that's not a seizure. I said, well, what do you mean? I was shaking. I was on the ground. I blacked out. I said, how long were you out for? I was 60 seconds. He said, that's not a seizure. He said, how'd you feel afterwards? I said, I was awake, you know, and then it was just scary. And he goes, that's not a seizure. And then, especially after looking at all my blood work and the CT and everything, he said, and then we talked about my diet more.
Okay.
And then I told him about the hypoglycemic attacks I have occasionally. He goes, what you had, here, I actually wrote it to the Monksters because it was a good explanation. And because I can't remember it. But it's basically fainting with seizure-like symptoms. So, I can't, are these yours? Oh.
Yeah, those are mine. Those aren't reading lists.
So what I wrote,
reading list.
Yeah, here's my list. Yeah. So the explanation after all the testing, doctors, and follow-up was that it was a reactive hypoglycemic syncope brought on by stress, heat, overexertion, and diet. And so the doctor explained it to me in the best possible way because I was trying to figure out how do I prevent this from happening. What he said was because I never eat, because he called it like fasting. He said, you're fasting what you're doing. And what happens is if you're fasting, you don't have any sugar stores, any glycose or whatever. And so when I do eat, I suck down a giant virgin daiquiri and I eat junk food and like chocolate. I wait till dinner and then I eat like lots of sugary stuff. So he said what happened was my blood sugar spikes and then there's always a dip.
Right.
Now, for most people, when it dips, you don't have faint and have a seizure.
Right.
But because my body was under so much stress and there was nothing to support like the sugar dip or whatever, he said that that's what happens. You fainted. And then the seizure-like symptoms, he's like, that can happen pretty much. And so on the one hand, I was like, okay, great, I'm not going to die. But on the other hand, now I have to change my diet completely.
Well,
and actually eat.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not so much a matter of changing your diet. It's a matter of like putting food into your body, right? I mean, what do you eat breakfast typically?
Well, not typically.
Or lunch typically?
Not typically.
So you don't eat until like dinner time.
I'll try and eat something by like 3 or 4 o'clock, but not anymore. That's the old Nat-X.
That's last week's Nat-X.
This week.
What is this week's Nat-X eating?
I got these old people shakes. They're called Ensure. I wish I was kidding.
Recovery in the Middle Ages.
That's right, folks. This episode is brought to you by Ensure. Enjoy your golden years.
It's also helpful if you have no teeth. You can just...
Yeah, so I have an Ensure shake in the morning to make sure I get protein and calories, and I try and make sure I have something for lunch.
Is that... Okay.
What?
No.
Is Ensure bad?
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
You could have like food in the morning.
Yeah.
It's like, is a shake really doing it?
Yeah, it feels good.
Did the doc? Okay.
Yeah, he recommended. Of course, should I have eggs and bacon? Would be nice. So I've been feeling better. He said to always eat something at least every 4 hours, and I'm going to go back in on the 11th, and I'm going to tell him how I'm feeling after doing what I'm supposed to.
Did he do any blood work? This doctor?
He didn't.
He just looked at the stuff from the ER.
Yeah. He didn't seem to. It all just says normal levels, normal, but. He's a really good doctor.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to get in through a friend. It was like one of those things.
Right.
Excellent doctor.
And your family's got a lot of hookups, man. You get the Turkish fucking ambassador and this Republican congressman, this neurologist.
It's
all who you know,
who you know, yeah. I don't actually know any of them, though. That's the shit of it.
Yeah, but you know people that know people.
Know people. It sounds like an AA thing. So that was my scary.
Holy shit! Well, I'm glad you're sitting here. You're okay.
Yeah.
Although
I'm shaken up.
You don't see when you and I were going back and forth this morning on whether or not we had to reschedule this and everything, and then yesterday I got some texts from you that were alarming.
What?
You were just like, I'm coming apart at the seams. I'm losing my shit. It's so much going on.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, part of this like issue with the seizure and stuff is no doubt diet and sugar related, but part of it's probably stress. I'm there too, man. And you seem like you're really stressed out lately.
I'm very stressed, and I don't even want to recount the last couple of days because it's not getting better.
And that brings up the point, like, you could change your diet. That's easy, right? But changing your lifestyle, if you've built a certain schedule, if you've, going down a certain road with the things that you've put on your plate, the problem with performing miracles for people all the time and getting everything done is then people expect the miracles all the time. Imagine how Jesus must have felt.
I know.
Like he was like, I cured 5 blind people today and there's 20 today. It's 20 tomorrow I got to deal with, It's just, so when you set that high level of expectation for yourself.
Yeah.
And you get everything done, just barely, but you get it done.
Yeah.
Then you figure, okay, I can do all this and maybe something else too. It's like an exponential increase in the shit that you have to do.
And that's pretty much exactly what's been, yeah.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, I lost my wife's car, rolled over glass or something. So we only had one car Monday.
Okay.
And I had to walk back and forth to the mechanic and then drive to work on a donut and like on top of everything.
Right.
It's
that's the thing is when you're so tightly scheduled and tightly committed to all the stuff that you have to do, one little thing that comes in from the outside just fucks the whole thing up.
Yep. That's it. So what do I do? What do I quit?
I don't know, but you know what? Why don't we take a short break, and when we come back, we can talk about some strategies that myself and you and ChatGPT came up with to handle stress and recovery, because it's a big deal.
It's a big deal, and we'll be right back after these words.
I don't understand people on the internet.
Are we back?
And we're back.
Why not?
So that ad that you're looking at there, right? That says, what does it say?
Oh, you mean our ad?
Our ad. What does it say?
Our ad says, Recovery in the Middle Ages is a podcast about two middle-aged suburban dads. Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And then it says addiction, recovery, comedy, podcast support, community.
Right. Now, okay, maybe it was on the other ad.
Oh, yeah, I have another one.
Yeah.
People get mad.
Bring up the other ad. This is good. Because, and I'm not like trying to be mean or anything.
This one.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does it say? It says addiction, recovery, comedy, podcast. Right. So I get a thing on the phone that somebody left a message on the Facebook ad.
Right.
So I go on it and it's somebody that says, "Is this a podcast?" I'm like,
yes.
And then, do you have a link? Is there not a link built in?
Yes, 2 links.
I don't know. I just
if you're having trouble finding the podcast, email Mike R at middleagesrecovery.com.
Don't do that. Just fucking go to your favorite podcast platform or go to middleagesrecovery.com.
And that's being updated.
Wait, go to middleagesrecovery.com. That's right.
Yeah, I was just talking to our web developer about the latest episodes.
That's a very fancy name for what that guy's been doing.
I was begging him. I'm like, do you need to bill me for something else? Like, just send me a bill. We have to get this to work. Yes, we are back. Back in black.
Oh, join the Patreon. Support your favorite podcast.
Yeah.
Just throw us a couple of dollars a month. The contest is still ongoing. We've decided to extend it for another 2 weeks.
The deadline has been extended.
That if 15 new Patreon subscribers come online, Nat and I will play pickleball naked for money
on roller skates.
No, we won't be naked. Maybe I'll wear a banana hammock.
That sounds good. It's worth it. Worth it for the 15.
I definitely will not do any of that.
Patreon.com/recovery in the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
Join us.
Yeah. So stress is an interesting thing. And what's the definition of stress? It's the tension between the body's desire to choke the living shit out of some asshole who desperately deserves it.
Yeah,
right?
like when you're in the car and someone cuts you off or is driving too slow, you get stressed.
But stress can feel overwhelming for people in recovery, right? Even more so than regular people who are not in recovery.
Because you don't go to a drink. You don't have that go-to necessarily like you used to. Your old best friend.
I mean, you have a decreased tolerance, right?
Yeah.
I mean...
LFT, low frustration tolerance.
I mean, during your active addiction, your alcohol or your drugs might have been used as a coping mechanism to deal with stress, right? And then without this, you take that stuff away, all of a sudden it's like, I have to manage stress on my own. I have to learn new coping skills. And then of course, again, when you peel away the alcohol, the drugs, you become much more emotionally sensitive, right?
Yeah, especially when we first get clean. I remember back to those early recovery groups. Everybody's on edge.
Yeah.
Everybody is like double fisting the candy bowl. And
The candy hole?
The candy hole.
They're double fisting the candy hole.
maybe at your rehab they were doing that.
I didn't get to go to a fun rehab like that. Yeah, and of course, then there's underlying issues like trauma, mental health disorders, and unresolved emotional pain, which were being. I mean, all of this stuff is like the substances you were taking were masking the real issues in your life that you needed to deal with, and you know, all of a sudden you take that away, and you're just dealing with your own shit, and you know, things can get really out of whack, like because when you become sober and then you get your life back, all of a sudden you have a whole series of new stressors, right? I mean,
life keeps happening. You keep taking, look, for me, I'll speak for myself. I kept taking things on, and those are new stress. All the stresses I have today are brand new because I can do more. So there could be more stress.
It's true. Look at what my printer printed.
Oh, beautiful.
5 blank pages.
Yeah, all on photo paper, it looks like.
Yeah.
High gloss.
Yeah. I mean, some of this sort of brings us around to, I mean, what you had was like hypoglycemia. So hypo means too much sugar,
and then it dips.
And then the crash.
Yeah.
So how do people manage sugar cravings and the risk of hypoglycemia in early recovery?
Yeah. I don't know. I fell prey to it.
I mean, I think you need to adopt a balanced diet, right? And maintain consistent eating habits.
You'd say you'd have to admit you were powerless over sugar and that your life had become unmanageable.
No.
Why not?
Just fucking have like some scrambled eggs or something. I mean, I think you need to eat regularly, right? Regular meals and snacks at consistent intervals throughout the day can help stabilize your blood sugar levels and reduce cravings. Yes?
Yes.
And then you should choose complex carbohydrates instead of simple carbohydrates.
What does that mean?
Well, you can opt for whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and legumes.
Yeah, white bread is a no-no. The doctor said no more white bread.
Were you eating a lot of white bread?
I mean, yes.
Wonder bread?
White rice, rolls mostly.
Rolls with butter from the deli? I mean, that's a New York thing.
I'm hungry.
I used to have a buttered roll.
Toasted?
In the morning. No, you get it off the cart in the city.
Oh, that? Yeah, those are good.
Give me a roll with butter, a cup of coffee, light, sweet.
But I would eat that when I hadn't eaten anything else for days. Yeah, I love those.
It was funny this morning, you know, you were cycling a little bit, and I was like, you know what's really good? A banana with peanut butter. And you're like, that's disgusting.
You know I hate bananas with a
I didn't know you. I'd forgotten.
Bananas I have a moral opposition to.
Do you like peanut butter?
I love peanut butter.
So have peanut butter on an apple.
That I could do.
Yeah.
Maybe a little honey.
That's maybe even a sprinkle of cinnamon.
We're hungry, folks.
I actually had a fully nutritious breakfast this morning. Did you?
I was out of Ensure shakes. I had 2 donut holes. You see, I'm not doing that.
2 donut holes?
I'm not.
That is how you're fixing your diet?
I'm progress, not perfection here. Come on, guys. There was nothing
Well, I guess
else.
it's better than nothing.
I was
2 donut holes and a double espresso.
That's why I'm so shaky.
Well, you should definitely consume some protein and healthy fats. You should incorporate lean protein sources and healthy fats into your meals to slow down the absorption of sugar.
Do I have
and
to?
Promote satiety.
Satiety, to be satiated.
Yes. Do you drink water or just coffee?
Well, funny you should mention that. Now I'm drinking more water. I make a point when I get home, I have a tall glass of water, and I try and make myself.
When you get home at like 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
Do you drink water during the day?
Not usually.
You should have a couple sips of water maybe sometime between the morning and the night. But I've never seen my wife drink water, and she seems to be functional. So
it's not good, I don't think, for me. I think I definitely need to drink more water. I avoid it because, like many men my age, I'm trying to decrease the number of times I have to use the bathroom.
I mean, if you're in an office with a bathroom, you can use the bathroom as many times as you want.
And I do. Every
you don't have
30
to raise
minutes.
your hand or anything.
It just sucks. Again, all night. It's every,
Yeah, I've been having some issues with the nighttime thing lately. But drink more water anyway.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like, your body will retain water, I think. I'm not a fucking doctor. I don't know.
Just drink water. Everybody says drink water. So.
Practice mindfulness. By the way, these are tips to manage sugar cravings and the risk of hypoglycemia during early recovery. Okay? These are tips. Tips and tricks.
Trips and ticks.
Be aware of your cravings and their triggers can help you develop healthier coping mechanisms and make more informed food choices.
That's just like the drug, recovery programs I used to have. Triggers.
Yes.
It's like the same thing. It's like I get a trigger if I wake up at 12 o'clock, let's say. And I immediately, that's my trigger for eating something sugary. I'll go straight to the refrigerator. Sometimes I have a Klondike
In the
bar.
middle of the night?
Yeah.
You have a Klondike bar at midnight.
Sometimes
That's
later.
fucked up.
Like almost every night. I've stopped though.
I mean, you're my fucking pistachio flying saucer dealer.
Mm-hmm.
You come and drop a bundle off on my front step, a sleeve. I'm counting all those beauties in there. Like, ooh.
Hey, this is 0.7.
Every night I look in the freezer. I'm like, ooh, I got 4 left.
If I was a real dealer, I would have taken one out for myself.
Right.
This just feels a little light.
Yeah, what's the matter, man? Somebody's stepping on it. So you should also seek support for your sugar cravings. That's nonsense. Are you going to reach out to a counselor or therapist to discuss your sugar cravings?
No, but I would like to say that that's not totally crazy because my wife, who helps me to stay on track, basically.
She's also your counselor.
She's the one that she's sort of paying attention, and she'll be the one to say, you need to eat something, or, make sure I'm not eating too much crap. So,
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, good for her.
Yes.
And she should do that.
Yes, she does.
Somebody has to.
Exactly.
It's not going to be you.
She's on me. She wants me to be healthy, and she sees how haphazard and unhealthy my diet has been, and
Well, I mean, we've talked about this in the past about why you get these sugar cravings like in early recovery.
Yeah.
And it's because that would seem to me to be the time to make some good habits around your sugar consumption and your diet, right? As long as you're changing everything, you may as well change your diet at the same time.
I remember there being debates about that amongst the counselors at, I think it was Seafield, Mineola, where one counselor would always have a sugar bowl. And I got to another counselor.
Just like raw sugar with a spoon.
just scoop it.
Stick your hands in there and shove it in your face.
She made a point at having a lot of sugar. And she even said, when you're in early recovery, have a lot of sugar because you'll be craving it. And then the next counselor I had said, don't listen to Dawn. This is a horrible practice. You shouldn't be, just what you said. You're trying to have healthy habits. So it was kind of funny, but.
Okay. I think in terms of harm reduction, like in the first 60 or 90 days, if you got a shover, if you have to shovel M&Ms or whatever, fucking Skittles, God help you, or any of that shit into your mouth so it keeps you from drinking, have at it, man. But after 90 days, let's take a look. Let's start to reevaluate,
Yeah.
As long as you feel secure that stopping sugar is not going to send you to the bar. But it's interesting why it happens, right? It's all brain chemistry. The alcohol and the opioids, they disrupt the dopamine system and increases the dopamine levels. And, when you seek alternative sources of pleasure, dopamine, sugar is a big one because it can compensate for the reduced dopamine release from the alcohol and the drugs, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, your hypoglycemia is an issue. Chronic substance abuse can lead to poor nutrition and irregular eating habits, which can result in fluctuating blood sugar levels. Not only chronic substance abuse, but also chronic stress, I would say. Do you find yourself irritable, fatigued, dizzy, increasingly hungry? Those symptoms can drive a person to seek quick sources of energy, such as sugary foods like donut holes, to alleviate your discomfort.
So what am I supposed to do? Like, what's going to replace that? What's a healthy thing I can eat instead of a Klondike bar?
In the middle of the night?
Don't say Ensure Shake. I don't want to. Well, maybe that's the ticket.
Well, how about some beef jerky?
I like beef jerky.
You could have a midnight snack of beef jerky.
I could do that.
It's not like as satisfying as a Klondike bar, but that's the whole point, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't want to jam that sugar into your brain in the middle of the night. I don't know, but what if you're a vegetarian?
Right.
Then you don't eat beef jerky.
You don't?
Have like
carrots, raw carrots.
Yeah, it's just like a Klondike bar.
Almonds? I like almonds
too.
Almonds with dark chocolate, maybe.
Do you think maybe some of this focus on some people thrive with stress, and without the stress they get like a little out of sorts? Do you think that there may be a little addiction transfer going on here, like a substitute addiction that occurs in an individual in recovery when you develop a new addiction or compulsive behavior in place of your previous substance abuse?
I think so. It's called changing seats in the Titanic, they always call it.
Yeah, or addiction whack-a-mole, right? This can come up in a lot of different ways, including workaholism, excessive exercise, compulsive shopping, or even engaging in dramatic or conflict-prone situations. So you can have an addiction to drama.
Yeah, I've known people like that.
It explains why so many ultra runners are ex-addicts, alcoholics.
Right, we talked about that when we did the Ed Roll book.
Yeah.
Was it Ed Roll?
Who? Rich Roll.
Rich Roll.
Did we talk about that book?
I think we did. Finding Ultra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit.
It's a good
110 episodes. I don't even.
But we said the same thing. This guy is, he's addicted to ultra marathons. It's ruining his life because he never sees his family.
Yeah.
He was having the same kind of effect, so we kind of debated that.
Yeah. But I mean, so is that a healthier addiction? I don't know.
It's to the extreme, and that's why.
I mean, the body may be healthier up to a point.
Yeah.
There's
diminishing returns after mile 40.
Well, there's that woman, Ketra Corbett, who is an ultra marathon runner, and she's like sort of famous for, she's like all these tattoos and nose rings and stuff. And she was like a meth head and club girl. But she runs like 100 miles every weekend, like just for fun. Now, I like to run, don't get me wrong. And I've always loved the idea of ultra marathoning, but my body, it's never been quite built for it. But so why does replacement addiction, like running like that, occur? I mean, it's the reward pathways. Again, I hate to be reductive about dopamine, but it's like,
it seems to all go back to that.
Yeah. I mean, if you stop using drugs and alcohol and you don't deal with the underlying issues, you could seek alternative behaviors triggering the same reward pathways, resulting in a new addiction. Same thing if you don't deal with your emotional or psychological issues, like trauma. Trauma is like the big thing nowadays, right? Trauma, anxiety, and depression, the three horsemen of the apocalypse, if you will, when it comes to mental health.
Yeah, trauma is coming up a lot.
And, and this one I thought was interesting. Addiction involves habitual patterns of behavior and thinking. And when the substance is removed, the individual may unconsciously seek to fill the void left by their previous addiction with new behaviors or habits. So, you know what it's like, people get addicted not just to the crack, but to the buying of the stem and filling of the pipe and the lighter and cleaning the stem and all that kind of stuff. And the same thing with heroin, with needles, right?
Yeah, I've heard that. They're addicted to the needle. They don't even say heroin, the needle.
The needle, so people just shoot water. Yeah,
Chris from Dopey, who famously actually OD'd tragically. But when he was on the, alive, and they were talking about, Dave used to like rib him about a little that he was so addicted, he would watch videos of people injecting water just to like satisfy some kind of morbid, I don't know, like it's weird. It's like, I can't.
Well, but
I get it.
I get it too. And I could see that playing out, even if it's not like a drug like crack or heroin. I mean, what is this whole thing about going to a bar and drinking a non-alcoholic beer? There's still that whole ritual and process, right? Like I was grilling yesterday. I was grilling some hamburgers for my kids, and I have a 6-pack of non-alcoholic Peroni in the fridge.
So beer, left-hand skillet.
Yeah, I was just going to go grab a beer and sit outside and grill and drink the non-alcoholic beer. And then I started teasing that out. Like, why do I want to do that? Mostly because the Peroni's like 100 calories, and I'm trying to watch what I've been putting in since I gained some weight lately. So I'm like, well, I'll just have a glass of water instead. But
I was about to say,
but it was such a trigger for me, like grilling and chilling. I really just wanted to have the beer, and I'm like, it's not even a beer, so. Do you love
the flavor? I mean, did you feel satisfied when you have the non-alcoholic beer?
Yeah, I had one a couple of weeks ago, maybe. And I enjoyed it, like the first 3/4 of it. And
it's a nostalgic flavor too. I mean,
yeah, but is that like shooting like water?
That's
like I wonder.
Yeah,
am I addicted to the ritual of having a beer while I'm barbecuing? I mean, how far do you take that?
But is it
analogy?
Is it necessarily a bad thing if it doesn't harm you?
Yeah, no, I guess not. I mean, it doesn't make me crave a real beer. So what exactly am I craving there?
Comfort.
What is the thing that's in my head that's saying to go to the fridge and get a non-alcoholic beer?
Neural
What is
pathways.
That? It is. It's habitual patterns.
Right.
Right? At least that's what I think it is. You also need to learn how to develop healthy coping mechanisms to sort of avoid replacement addiction issues. If you don't have these mechanisms to cope with stress, anxiety, or emotional challenges, you can turn to other compulsive or addictive behaviors to manage your emotions.
Yeah, and that was the big sell at all of the rehabs and groups and programs. It's you need new tools. That's what they always said.
Yeah.
And say, good tools, healthy tools. So
healthy tools.
Yeah.
The word tool. I'm 14 years old. So some strategies to prevent replacement addiction and issues from rearing their ugly head include engaging in therapy. Of course, if you don't have any time to do anything in your life, it's hard to fit therapy in. That's why we recommend BetterHelp. No, I'm kidding. They're not a sponsor yet. But there is online therapy. I don't know if the jury's in about how effective that is or how effective it is not.
I think it's like anything else. It's all what you put into it. It depends on from what I've heard, and I've tried it before. So it's like anything. You get a good therapist that you like, you'll have success.
Okay.
It's neither good nor bad.
Okay. Which brings us to the develop healthy coping skills, such as mindfulness, meditation, journaling, or engaging in hobbies to deal with stress and negative emotions. To me, the big issue there is that you have to build that space into your life. If you were just burning like a rocket through your own life, you have to make space for that shit. Because if you don't, nothing's going to change.
Right. Like doing this podcast for us, this is something we love. And we have to, this morning, I was like, I got to do this. This is important.
Yeah.
And it's not important in the sense that, I'm worried about a work deadline. It's it's important to my life. It's important, that we make time for these things. And it's not easy to do. And all of the hobbies you have too, making time for it. It's hard.
But I can't show up for other people unless I can show up for myself.
Right.
Right. I mean, I could just not do anything other than work at work or work at home and I would just be a miserable facsimile of a human being. I would just be reacting rather than proacting.
Yeah.
I think you need to be proactive. You need to I take 15 minutes a day for meditation, no matter what.
Yeah, it's good.
8, it's between 7 and 8 o'clock. I go to the garage, I shut the door, and I sit on a cushion for 15 minutes.
Do you listen to anything?
No, I don't.
Total silence?
I have never.
Or a mantra?
Total silence. I have done mantra meditation, but I learned with Zen meditation, and that's what I've sort of carried through. I tried a little of the Hare Krishna stuff, and I felt like it wasn't really. I need the stillness. Because if something's just talking at me or I'm talking, to me, that's not changing my consciousness enough. I'm not able to shut off the voice in my head if I'm talking at the same time.
And that's the hard part. I read a book about Zen Buddhism. I think it was Zen Buddhism in college. And I remember they called it mind weeds. It was one of these techniques for
pulling the mind weeds.
And it was described, I forget who wrote it. It's some famous Zen guy, but it was all about, think of it as a garden you're weeding. So you're supposed to close your eyes, total silence. And as these things come up, you weed them. You try and picture yourself until there's less and less distraction.
Yeah.
It's a good analogy.
I mean, the thoughts are going to come up, but you don't judge the thought. You just acknowledge it, and then it goes off on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I recommend meditation. I know it's hard if you don't have a history with it and it seems really foreign, but there are apps out there you can use, like a Headspace is the big one.
I used that in the pandemic. I was doing guided meditations.
There's also Insight Timer, which also has a bunch of guided meditations on it. That's a free app. I mean, I recommend it. I think it helps keep me focused and gives me a little space that I can take between thinking and acting. And to me, that's the main benefit of meditation, is it gives you the space between what you're thinking and what you put out into the world. So you have a moment of silence, which contemplate whether you want to take the next step. And I think that's very helpful in recovery. And I think it's helpful in just interactions with other people, like not just letting that thing fly out of your mouth that just pops into your brain.
Yeah, I've been working on that, especially with, social media posting. I'll type out a comment. What I do now, I think I've said this before, is I don't ever hit post right away, especially if I know it's an impulsive emotional reaction. I'll type it out to feel better.
Yeah.
And I don't hit post.
That's great.
And in 5 minutes, if I still think it's good, I'll hit it.
I like that. I could have done with some of that yesterday. I was fighting with a couple of people. Another recommendation is to build a support network, of course, connecting with others in the recovery movement through support groups, 12-step programs, podcast recovery-focused communities like ours. You can share experiences, you can learn from each other, and you can build accountability. That's what we do in our Discord. That's what we try to do in our Facebook group. And
it's the basis for almost every kind of recovery. Even I was talking to my wife about family anonymous type of stuff. It was on a show we were watching. And she was saying that when we were going through my stuff, which wasn't just my stuff, she was going through it too. She was required to attend these family groups. It was part of my requirements, was that the spouse has to attend these things. But she was saying like how great it was for her to hear. She said the way she described it was when you hear yourself and other people's experiences.
Right on.
And, and that's true, I think, for just about any kind of issue or even joys, like you want to be around people that you can commiserate and, have fun with, that you can relate to. So
people who you can share experiences with. And that sort of thing is rarer today with as fragmented as we are as a society and all the social media that we have. It really has made us almost more alienated in some ways.
Or we're getting together around negative things.
Yeah.
People will rally around something hateful.
Isn't that a sad commentary on humanity?
Yeah.
Like it's so much easier to motivate people by fear than it is by hope.
Yeah, but it ain't nothing new. This is what's been millions.
It just seems like it's
years.
Become like exacerbated since the 2012 and the real one since social media really locked in.
I'm waiting for it to bounce back because the pendulum always swings back a little bit.
Let's hope. Yep. I mean, it is kind of depressing how difficult it is to create and maintain relationships these days. But you also need to establish a balanced lifestyle. We've discussed that a bit. Cultivate a lifestyle includes regular exercise, a healthy diet, sufficient sleep, and time for relaxation and self-care. What's your exercise situation look like these days?
I play tennis once a week, and I had to take a week off because my tennis partner has plantar fasciitis.
Really? That sucks.
You had to get it injected. But tennis is going to be my big thing coming up in the spring. I used to be like a bodybuilder guy in the gym, and then I was running, and now I'm back to playing tennis, and I'm having a lot of fun.
Awesome,
It's a lot of It's only like once a week, and when it gets nice out, I'm going to start playing more with my brother probably.
That's cool. You think about doing something daily?
I should.
A walk?
Yes. I'd like to get back to running.
Yeah.
So that's coming this summer.
Right.
I'm going to start running again. I got those Brooks that I bought just to run.
Right.
I got a lot out of running. I used it as a meditation. I don't know if
you could kill two birds with one stone. Run and meditate at the same time.
Yeah.
Just don't watch for cars.
Don't watch.
Careful. No, do watch for cars.
Do watch.
Yes.
Okay, thank God.
Well, and that brings us to the setting boundaries, right?
Yeah.
And this is a tough one. You got to recognize the importance of setting boundaries at work, right? You can't take everything on. Relationships, got to make yourself some personal time, and that'll help you prevent excessive involvement in any one area, which can be not the healthiest thing in the world.
That's been one of the hardest things for me as like a people pleaser. Is I hate saying no, but I'm getting better at it.
Yes,
or being able to say it's nothing personal. I just don't want to do that thing. It's okay to say no.
Right.
Make space for yourself.
You have to.
I'm saying that to me because I need to do that.
Yeah, and all of these things are going to require you to make space for yourself, and that's hard to do. I think women have a harder time doing that than men do to some degree because of the the responsibilities they have as primary caregiver for the kids and stuff. And, I think they feel a little more guilty about taking personal time, which, as a man, I always was sort of cavalier about that. And I would say, oh, just do it,
Right.
But like, it's easy to tell somebody to just fucking do something like, hey, just quit drinking.
Put the plug in the jug.
But people, people have to get to that space where they can do it for themselves, Yeah. And it's helpful if you have a partner that gives you the space that allows you to do that.
Yeah, and one thing I am proud of in my marriage is that I worked on really hard was becoming a good partner for my wife. For a long time, I was very, I sucked. I was not doing anything. And I really was, and that's probably when I was using and drinking. And so part of my living amends is to be that partner for my wife. Mm-hmm. And it's really, I feel good about it, especially you want your partner to be able to go out with their friends or whatever makes them feel relaxed, and I don't ever give her guilt about it. Yeah. So I think that's important. Now I need to do that a little.
You do. Now you need to do that because you shouldn't feel guilty about the fact that you spent all those years, wasting
my
time
life.
And, I mean, honestly, right? I mean, that's kind of what addiction is. It's kind of wasting your life, right?
It's my time to waste.
But now that you're better, right? Like to me, I wouldn't want the guilt of the time that I wasted not doing stuff to like prevent me from doing things now. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I was like this then, I'm going to be extra engaged in my relationship, my family and everything. That doesn't mean that you can't give yourself some space to do stuff that you want to do.
Right. Agreed.
All right. Are we done with it? Have we beaten this fucking topic to death?
We've beaten it to death.
Are you going to eat something when we leave here?
So I'm okay.
I mean,
I just need to
give
eat
you a
better.
piece of cheese or something. I think I have a cheese stick in the fridge.
I was going to pick up more Ensure shakes, I think.
There you go.
But I'm glad to be back. I'm glad that I'm not dead. And sorry for the scare.
We are too, because I do not want this to become dopey. Just fucking stay alive, please.
I will. I'll do it. And thanks to everybody on the Inner Sanctum on Discord too for support. It means a lot to me.
Okay. It's time for
Recovery in the News.
You know what?
What is it time for?
I don't know what it's time for.
It's time for...
It's time... Not yet, it isn't.
It's time for...
Okay.
Recovery in the News. Yeah! All right. Recovery in the news. Recovery in the news. Recovery in the news. Motherfucker. Yeah. Can you take that down a key? Is it possible? Can we modulate?
I don't know.
I just like to take it down. I don't know.
Why don't you...
I'm not getting that
record another version of that on the guitar.
I should. I'm going to take it down a notch.
Do you ever get tired of doing that?
No. It's classic. That's like my signature.
I'm going to need that one. Can I have this one? Because for some reason the other page didn't print. I don't know. So the New York Times this week posted an interesting article. I don't know if some of you regular listeners may remember. Hopefully that's all of you. But may remember a couple of weeks ago I got a little heated about the fact that none of the Sacklers were in fucking jail for creating the opioid crisis and essentially ruining America and killing hundreds of thousands of people. And then the Times drops a story over the weekend, long and very well researched, and the title is as follows: Sacklers gave millions to institution that advises on opioid policy. Even as the nation's drug crisis mounted, the National Academy of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine continued to accept funds from some members of the Sackler family, including those involved with Purdue Pharma. And of course, the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine is a renowned advisory group that the White House and Congress have relied on to help shape the federal response to the opioid crisis, whether by convening expert panels or delivering policy recommendations and reports. Yet, officials with the National Academies have kept quiet about one thing: their decision to accept roughly $19 million in donations from the Sackler family, the owners of Purdue Pharma, the makers of OxyContin, that is notorious for fueling the opioid epidemic. What do we think about that? Here we are bitching about the government not having adequate response to the opioid crisis by going out there and incarcerating addicts, by marshaling the power of the police to deal with the crisis rather than public policy. And it turns out that $19 million of Sackler money has been funding this approach.
I'm not surprised.
In 2016, months after the National Academies received $10 million of Sackler money, the FDA tapped the institution to form a committee to issue new recommendations on opioids.
It's pretty sick.
And this is a very long, very well-researched story. You guys should go read it. It's just time after time, anytime a policy position was being put forth by the National Academies to the FDA, to Congress, to the White House, it was usually after some massive donation of Sackler money.
Yeah, I mean, and we sort of knew that, when we were watching that show, what was it called? Dope Sick, where it does a deep dive into just like a vignette of a doctor who gets sold OxyContin by a salesman, and they show the whole thing all the way up to the top. And I think it was pretty clear. I mean, I just assumed that it was this bad, like direct bribing. Forget the word lobbying. These are bribes.
Well, I'm not surprised that individual Congress people were receiving money. That's just the way business works. What I am surprised about is that the National Academy of Sciences, which is supposed to be an organization that is less susceptible to being manipulated by corporate money, has had their piggy snout in the trough this whole time. So Congress gets some cover. Look, we're not the ones. Yes, maybe we took Sackler money, but these recommendations are coming from the National Academies of Sciences.
It's more egregious,
right?
You're supposed to be trusted. So was the FDA, and we found out that the guy, the guy who wrote the FDA warning label, which was one of the main reasons that they did so well selling opioids, he was from the Sackler organization.
Yeah,
it's just you can't trust any of these things. It's crazy.
I mean, the National Academies issued a report in 2011 that basically allowed pharmaceutical companies to argue that doctors should prescribe more opioids. And that came out even as the White House was saying that the nation was facing an opioid addiction crisis.
I think this is why we have to trust our common sense. Like during smoking and all of that, when people were saying, it's healthy, we were being told it's healthy. I think we all knew inhaling smoke was going to be bad. I feel like there was a lot of denial going on, and the academies and the government and the big ads, just supported that fantasy to make money.
Yeah.
And it's all.
Look, nobody's more cynical than me, but
it's bad.
But the fact that this is just coming to light now, and that even after 2 decades, there's never been any disclosure by these institutions about where their funding comes from. And in fact, there's been an active attempt not to disclose.
Oh, yeah.
And then to give off the appearance of objectivity.
They knew this was wrong.
Yeah.
Clearly.
So,
and then they obfuscated it.
Anytime you look to the government for a solution, you're basically, there is no government. The government is basically
just people
pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, people taking bribes.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's
recovery in the news. Wow.
We did it.
That about does it for today. I know I had a great time. Did you?
I really did.
Yeah. I'm
surprised.
I'm glad.
I expected this to be stressful.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, that's how I was framing it this morning. I had my frantic, I don't know if I can do it. What am I going to do?
The schema we were operating in was one of stress.
But guess what? I said, forget these glasses. I said the show must go on. And I'm glad we did it.
Yes.
So visit us at middleagesrecovery.com, Apple Podcasts, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, and Twitter. So tweet us at Twat You Twit. Support your favorite show. We need more reviews so we can read them.
I don't care if you give us any money through Patreon. Well, I sort of do, but I really don't because I don't need the money. Well, we sort of do, but
I need the money. Send it to me.
But what I really want is reviews. Go write some fucking reviews, please.
And join us on Patreon. Join the Inner Sanctum. Patreon.com/recovery in the Middle Ages. And we're having a lot of fun and it supports the show. And finally, what's the best way to help the show, Mike?
Share it with a friend.
If you get something out of our little show, please share the love and help grow the RMA movement.
If everybody shared it with one friend, then
we'd have
by
one
the
more listener.
laws of mathematics, everybody in the country would be listening within like a week.
And one of them would be Kevin Bacon.
That's right.
And as we say, non proficiat perfectum.
Progress, not perfection.
We'll see you next time.
Stay fresh, cheese bags.